You know, I actually made a video prior to this video. I had to start again because, like many other people who actually watched the fight, I totally understand and I appreciate the disappointment and in some cases the anger that towards the performance that was provided by Nicholas Walters in this this fight that we've just seen. And I fully appreciate it, and I can understand, and I fully appreciate your disappointment in reacting to what you've seen, and that's totally understandable. But I kind of pulled back and I thought, let me just think about this a little bit more. Let me exercise a little bit more caution. I'm not comfortable with what I saw in terms of the performance of Nicholas Walters. I'm not happy, naturally, because when you want to be emotionally invested in boxing, when you want to watch a fight, you always have the belief that regardless of the skill set of each individual, you always want to see a competitive fight through every possible circumstances that there is. And when you don't get to see that, because if a fight is deemed to be 50-50, which this fight between Vasily Lomachenko and with Nicholas Walters was deemed to be a 50-50 fight, it becomes a bit of a concern when the fight is there's such a wide margin between the two fighters. Now, I'm not saying that Vasily Lomachenko did not deserve his victory. Congratulations to him. He fought brilliantly. You have to give him his full credit. He gave a very good performance, and they could take nothing away from him. But can I honestly say the same thing for Nicholas Walters? I mean, Nicholas Walters did not perform to his natural ability. And I'm just concerned about the circumstances around the fact that Nicholas Walters did not perform to his ability. Not, within those rounds. I mean, you didn't kind of feel that he was competitive at all. And I'm very reluctant, and I find it very difficult to believe that Nicholas Walters would not wanted to have given his absolute best, represented his country, knowing the pride and of his people, the people around the world, regardless of however obstacles has been put in his way, for him not to actually perform to his absolute ability. I mean, that's the barest minimum you expect from all fighters, to perform to their at least to their maximum ability. If another fighter is so superior or deemed to be so superior that they actually, beat you in a convincing fashion and you have performed to your best, then you can always accept that. I mean, I would always accept that regardless of whatever the situation is. I mean, I don't know whether Nicholas Walters had an ongoing injury, but even if he was injured, at the end of the day, you signed to take a fight, and if you have an injury, you should declare it. That was not the case, so you have to rule that out. But there are other mitigating circumstances which is very difficult to prove, that makes me cautious about the outcome of this fight. I know, and I'm not comfortable when the Bob Arum is very happy and very comfortable when he's promoted in a fight, and then he says some strange sentences like one of the fighters is, comparable to the great Muhammad Ali. I get concerned about that. I get very concerned because at the end of the day, you are promoting both fighters, and you should be equally, promoting not. I mean, it's his promotion. He can show whatever emotion he wants to show, but it just worry me when you want people to be invested in watching a fight, but then you go out of your way to promote just one of the fighters to basically claim that they're as good as one of the greats of the game, but then you want people to watch the fight. I mean, why would I always question, why would I want to watch the fight if one of the fight is so vastly superior in the minds of a promoter? Why would I want to watch the fight? Because obviously the outcome is already predetermined, and this is the thing. This is the danger that boxing is always fighting against, to not give the illusion that fights are predetermined. But when Bob Arum goes out of the way to sort of give you that sort of feeling, then it's difficult to sort of want to watch one of his promotions. It's very difficult because I question it every time when he actually makes statements like this. He's done the same thing with Manny Pacquiao over the years, and it worries me because I kind of think, well, I'm not going to want to watch the fight because if the fight is not competitive, then what's the point? If one guy is Superman, the other guy is Pee Wee Herman, then why would, in the mind of the promotion, why the hell would I want to watch the fight? What's the point? When it comes to Nicholas Walters, I mean, I am not comfortable. I mean, the first thought that comes to my head is like, oh, these guys are not wealthy. They're not, money talks. I mean, with Nicholas, his training regime, I would be quite interested to understand. Did he have the normal type of training regime that he had in the previous fights that he fought? And if the answer is yes, I will question that. I would question that, and because to all of a sudden have basically such a different performance to fighters who were deemed to be competitive compared to the fight that he's just had. I mean, it's like night and day. It's so different. I mean, I'm not comfortable about it. I'm not like I said, not taking anything away from Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, he has to do his job. Whoever's in front of him, if he decimates the guy, he decimates the guy. That's not his problem, and rightly so. Why should it be? But with Nicholas Walters, I mean, from the performances you've seen before, I find it hard to believe that he couldn't have performed at least to the equal ability of what he has performed before. I find that hard to believe. But at the end of the day, there's no point in my mind, in sort of making excuses, because there's no excuse. If you're not ready to fight, then you should declare that before you take a fight, or before you actually get into the ring. You should say, I'm not ready to fight. So if he's saying that Vasily Lomachenko is so vastly superior that he couldn't actually perform to his best, that's a concern. And when you make that admission, it makes it very difficult for people to actually come back and invest in you in the future. It makes it very difficult. People are going to always say, look, you quit. You quit because you couldn't actually finish the fight. If he had finished the fight and Vasily Lomachenko had won 120 to 109 or whatever, fine, it happens, but you finished the fight. But to quit, that's the difficulty. That's the hard bit. And that's the thing that he is probably going to go back in years to come and going to regret. But it is still, I still question, especially when it comes to a top rank fight, I question, that external influences did not make their presence felt within the Nicholas Walters camp. A lot. I mean, Bob Arum is such a shady dude. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if, and it would not be beyond the bounds of reason to think that external shady individuals had huge investments lined up with in terms of Lomachenko, and these individuals would do whatever it takes, whatever is necessary to ensure that their investment is protected. And this is boxing. It is a shady sport. It happens. So for people to try and be naive and try to sweep that under the carpet and sweep that under the rug, I'm sorry. That's the way it is. That's the way it goes. It happens. But I would wait. I would exercise caution, and I will wait to see in a few, because it always seems to come out in a few weeks or a few months down the line that the truth seems to come out about this fight, and I think this is one of the occasions where I'm going to actually just pull back and say, look, just before we go and lambast Nicholas Walters, before we go and crucify the guy, let's just wait, because the truth always seems to come out after a certain period of time has elapsed. And I will say there's something not right about this fight. I personally feel that there's something a bit strange. Something in terms of Nicholas Walters' ability to actually fight in this fight, something has occurred. That's my feeling. That's how I feel. I just, as much as how good Lomachenko is, he's not, he's not so vastly, superior to Nicholas Waters that Nicholas Waters could not have provided a competitive fight. That I find hard to believe. That is not the case. But we just have to wait and see. It is what it is. The fights happen, and always the truth seems to come out after the fact. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on the situation. Peace.